Hello, y'all. I'm back. I don't care how many videos I have to do, though. So I am extremely tired and sleepy. It is now 7:31 a.m. in the morning. So I'm feeling the effects of sleep deprivation real bad. But my anxiety is extremely high. So I can't even think properly, but the so the gang stalking trolls, as I said, they have been throwing the N-word at me. But that's okay. But this is one thing I wanted to say though. That lady from the Social Security office from that phone appointment a couple of weeks ago, I just knew. I figured that she gave me a hard time and oppressed me the way that she did because she knew I was a black person. But it seems like a lot of people, they basically try to hide their racism, and they don't even try to be overt with it unless you're, if people record and film somebody that's white and being like what people would say that they're a racist Karen or something like that. But and when that lady was rude to me over the phone and threatening my benefits, I mean, I'm sitting here like freaking angry because you're threatening my life, threatening my income. You're threatening my income and threatening to suspend my benefits over a Tourette's episode. So one of the first things I thought that is, if I was Hispanic like her, or if I was white or Asian, she wouldn't have treated me the way she treated me. But because I'm black, and also due to the targeting as well, but mainly because I'm black, is the reason why she treated me the way she treated me. So I want to make things clear. The fake TI perps and regular perps try to falsely make it like as if Candy is racist. But the gang stalkers can call me the N-word, and then black gang stalkers hating their own people. They'd be the main ones to do you the worst. They'd be the main ones to do you the worst. Your own race of people. And then you sell out and hate your own family members. But talk about somebody being racist. But as I said, legal Mexicans, I don't have an issue with. And even if somebody is illegal, I'll be respectful. But if you come at me with disrespect, no matter who you are, I try to defend myself and fight back. So I'm like, I'll be damned if you're not even an American and you're trying to get me destroyed. That's that's my thing. You're sitting here trying to ruin the life of somebody in their own country. You're trying to ruin the life of somebody in their own country, and I mean a country that you're not even a native of. So I would eat Mexican food all the time, and also I went to Mexico in 2015. My major was in Spanish. So the first time I recall receiving like racism from Mexicans was, I was living in Denton, Texas, and it could have been 2009, 10, or 11. And it was in Denton, Texas. I received racism from Mexicans and white people. We're in Texas. So, and the place so close to the border, I mean, I don't know if there might be a slim chance that somebody could be from Honduras or Dominican Republic or Nicaragua or something. But, so they got a black guy that's a targeted individual, and if he said that he has to experience perps calling him the N-word all the time. So, also, like when I moved to Los Angeles, a lot of black people, my own people, were warning me about the Mexicans and the Hispanics being prejudiced. So I even experienced hardcore abuse and racism. And when I was living in Los Angeles, I had hate from my own people. And I also received racism from Mexicans, Salvadorians, people from Honduras. And I experienced racism from Filipinos and Koreans and everything else. But where was anybody to say that they were wrong? If I try to do business with a Mexican person and they treated me like shit, black people would tell me, you get what you deserve for for doing business with them, or stay away from them. I'm like, well, how? I mean, if all the stores are run by them. If you go to like El Numero Uno grocery store, or El Super, or if you go to Food for Less, Superior, Northgate Market, and whatever, you don't find any black people working in South Central LA. All you see is Mexicans and other Hispanics working, and they can run their own businesses. But if a black person does try to run a business in Los Angeles, it doesn't really get to last long. And in Culver City, you might see, it's rare, like in Culver City or downtown LA, it's rare to see some black people that can have a job and work. But if they got so many blacks and Mexicans or people from El Salvador in South Central LA, they have Asians and Hispanics that run the laundromats, or the Asians that run the donut shops. But all the fast food, everything, unless you might have a soul food place, then you might be lucky if you see somebody that's black. But then if you do, a lot of the time they be sold out in Masonic. So and then if they might have black people who if they be on the verge of a breakdown with the Mexicans, and if they be on a verge of a psychological, mental, or emotional breakdown, and say that they hate us, Candy, they hate us. But I've even heard stories about Koreans being treated with prejudice by the Mexicans or the Hispanics. That they would serve their people first. If you're trying to go order pupusas from the Salvadorian people, they serve their people first, and then you can be first in line, but they'll serve their people first. and then make you wait until last, and they don't care if it's a so-called Christian church or not. Oh yeah, I did say got treated with racism by Filipinos and Koreans. So I even made it clear on my blog, look what this lady did when she had been trying to do to me. So as I said over the phone, I sensed racism or prejudice that she treated me the way she treated me over the phone. So Masonic and narcissistic to the core. Everything about what she did. So I've said something about all race, not every single race, but lots of different races of people, including my own kind. So I'm saying like throughout the years. So if they might have a lot of people who in the black community who say that, they get sick and tired of being treated a certain way by Asian people setting up shop to run businesses in low-income black neighborhoods, and that is part of a conspiracy that they deliberately put MSG in the black people food to serve to black people. Like they used to tell me this in Los Angeles, like if they had a business called Louisiana Fried Chicken. And Louisiana Fried Chicken, I think the business name was, and a lot of Asians was running those locations, and a lot of black people were telling me don't eat there because there's an agenda for the Asians to be trying to kill black people or whatever. So so they said that the Asian people had that the food, the poison and stuff that they serve to us black people, that they themselves don't eat. They don't eat what they sell to us. So many black people be like, if they try to tell me don't eat from the Mexicans because the Mexican, and I don't say this, black people tell me don't eat from the Mexicans because the Mexicans are nasty or they're unsanitary. But I have been eating Mexican food and stuff, So I never said that every Mexican is illegal. So when I went to in South Central LA, it was more illegals, and they were abusive, narcissistic, cruel gang stalkers, very sadistic, did me some dirty shit. Really, really traumatized me. To the point where if I found out some place was a sanctuary city, I would get re-traumatized all over again. Y'all don't know what hell I went through in Los Angeles dealing with them. So, but the first time I ever heard, I was 13 years old in 8th grade, going on 9th grade over the summer. And this lady that I knew since the nursery days, when we were at this camp when I was in middle school, and the lady, Miss Roxanne, she told me, I didn't know whether or not to believe it, but she tried to say, well, the Mexicans are prejudiced, right? And I'm like, well, I didn't know that. But they have, and a fake T.I. perp falsely accused me of doing that, though. Falsely accused me of calling every Hispanic an illegal Mexican, and I never said such a thing. So, so then, that's like as if in New Orleans, every Hispanic or every Spanish speaking person is falsely called Mexican, but that's not really true. That every Spanish speaking person is Mexican. But if they have Asian people, like, they will falsely assume that every person of Asian descent is Chinese. And New Orleans black folks, they do not pronounce Vietnamese properly. They said Vietnamese. And so I would be in Los Angeles, and if they would have Asian people mocking, laughing, and making fun of us black people too. I mean, they would be so dirty and hostile and abusive towards us. I mean, if I could go to a Mexican restaurant or an Asian donut and Chinese food shop and get treated with like severe prejudice, they wouldn't call me the N-word, but they would treat me with such prejudice. Like when I went to the I heard that the man was Cambodian, and so one day I went to the go to the donut shop next door to the laundromat. And so the man was like, I accidentally spilled, unintentionally, I didn't do it on purpose, but I accidentally spilled a little bit of rubbing alcohol. And so he's like, "You pay public here?" And I'm like, "What you mean?" He's like, "Oh, you spilling all that alcohol?" And so I apologized, and I said, I apologized. I said I didn't even do it on purpose. I didn't mean to. And it was a little bit of alcohol. It was like a couple of drops. It wasn't even a lot. And so he said, "If I kill you, the police don't do nothing to me." And I'm like, "Oh," and then before I could say anything, "See, yeah, she, you need to learn the law." So yeah, he actually threatened to kill me. I don't know if I should translate that, but I'm just impersonating as exactly how he said it. So he said, "Do you pay property tax here?" Oh, you spilling all that alcohol. It was a couple of drops by accident. It wasn't on purpose. And so, he said, "If I kill you, the police is not going to do anything to me." And then he said, "Oh, no, you need to learn the law." So, and I'm pretty sure he was a gang stalker too. But at first, I don't know if that was his wife that used to be nice and respectful. But after that incident, she would get mad. She got mad at me one time. I needed to blow my nose really bad, and the laundromat, I think the bathroom was off limits, or they didn't have toilet paper or something. And so, I tried to ask for a couple of napkins to blow my nose. And she's like, "They don't have napkin over there." And so she was like, "Why you want? Can't I eat my lunch?" Like, she's like, "Wow, what do you want? Can't I eat my lunch?" So she was like very rude. And like, if you do business with Asian people in Los Angeles, they would get mad at you and throw money at you. Even the little kids, their kids would be treat you disrespectful and rude. So at multiple donut shops or Chinese food shops in Los Angeles, they would treat me. I mean, they would get mad and yell at me and be rude and throw like when giving you your change back, they angrily throw the money at you. And first thing people would say was, "Well, you stupid if you keep going there." Well, what if that was all I had the money for to afford? So, so then, so I mean, I've had moments where, being treated with prejudice by Jamaican people. And when I said what I said about Trisha, we're the same race if Haitians are considered black or Creole or whatever. But when I said what I said about her, there was a lady that's supposed to be Christian that got hateful and blocked me, and so then it's like, I said what I said about her, because Trisha was a damn perp and not even born here in America. And she nearly succeeded at having me killed and destroyed. Trisha is freaking Haitian. And I knew she came to New Orleans for witchcraft purposes, pretending to be Christian. So, I was very, she nearly succeeded at destroying me. And she did destroy me, because I ended up having to be back on the streets again. And she did that to another so-called targeted individual as well. That she left him, she destroyed him and left him worse than what he already was and back homeless on the streets. I mean, it was a white guy that threatened to shoot me and threatened to kill me at that motel in Pensacola. A lot of people in downtown Pensacola are covert racists. But Denton, Texas, they had no shame in calling you the N-word. Being in foster care and traveling through Hattiesburg, Mississippi, the foster mom, I don't know what the hell race you would think that she looked, but they don't identify with being called Creole. But they want to be called black, but they have the look like a Creole. So, the foster mom's mother, the foster grandma, Mildred Collins, looked like a straight up white lady. So I get told that, I get falsely accused of being prejudiced of my own race when I say that I'm Creole or mixed. I'm not talking about half and half biracial, but Creole people are mixed. So, ghetto narcissistic abusers think they got the authority to dictate and tell me what I am. My biological dad is Creole. But when he was alive, he'll be quick to try to tell you how black he is. You ain't, even on the U.S. Census, it had him to be, listed as Negro, but the man did not look, I showed y'all pictures of Arthur. Arthur did not look black at all. And then I myself get asked if I'm mixed with Asian or Pacific Islander. People don't ask me if I'm mixed with Hispanic, but really, but they ask me if I'm mixed with Asian or Pacific Islander or something. Or some people might think that I'm Blasian, or a lot of the time they think I'm mixed with Hawaiian or Filipino. But my biological dad, Arthur, he was Creole, but he could pass for Mexican, Italian, or Chinese. Or Native American. So, growing up, I would always be fascinated with different races and skin colors and hair textures and, features and stuff. And I really enjoyed, different races and cultures and everything. And then, when I was in elementary school, I used to be so fascinated that I would ask people, what are they mixed with or what race they are or something. If I felt like I admired, their features or whatever. But some people get offended nowadays, they would get offended if you ask them what they're mixed with or what race they are or something like that. And narcissistic abusers would try to tell me, oh, that's inappropriate for you to ask such and such. Well, how come people have walked up to me and that's the way they start a conversation? They ask me what I'm mixed with. I mean, if people tell me that they think that I look like I have Oriental, Chinese-looking eyes, well, I get that from the biological dad Arthur. So if they tell me they think that I have yellow undertones, or I know my skin ain't fair, but some people would say that I have like yellow or red undertones in my skin color, or they might think, some people might consider me more fair, but I'm more medium, between light brown and medium brown skin, so it's like I used to be fascinated with all the Spanish, including Mexican and everything, but me being treated with prejudice and traumatized in Texas and Los Angeles, my experiences and everything left me so traumatized. That was also part of the reason why I gave up on a Spanish career. So, but back then when I was a little kid, I didn't realize, I heard that a lot of black people are brainwashed to hate ourselves, because of colorism in New Orleans and white supremacy in Hollywood, brainwashed us to hate ourselves. And plus, I was traumatized by the perms, the hair relaxers that I used to get. And so because the perms used to traumatize and burn my hair, burn my scalp. That was like the hair relaxers and perms burning my scalp and everything, and me feeling tortured. That was one of the initial reasons why I would feel like, well, I wish I had straight hair so I wouldn't have to get a perm and be tortured and, burn. So the foster mom, when her or anybody else, well, the foster mom didn't really perm my hair, but she had other people perm. I think she did perm my hair before. But when she had that lady Deborah from the fake IDMR cult that was a beautician, and I don't know why Deborah quit doing hair, but we used to have like chemical burns all over our scalp and everything. And one time, in the foster mom, she used to dookie braid our hair back in the 90s, when she would dookie braid our hair, and then we would end up with like a bloody, like some bloody scabs on our, from our scalp. And so we were me and my twin sister, we were so traumatized by the perms and relaxers in our hair. We were so traumatized by that we would go run and hide and lock ourselves up in the bathroom, try to lock ourselves in the bathroom for hours, and crying and hysterical and just traumatized because of the chemical burns from the relaxers. And so that right there was what made me start to feel like, well, I wish I had straight hair, or I wish I had silky hair. And then being in first and second grade, being called picky-headed or pickaninny and stuff like that. And the foster mom wouldn't let me wear my hair down and be girly and feminine, or she would put these plaits that I hated in my hair, and then she would narcissistically and self-righteously put one dab of grease in our hair every 3 days. Like, for our whole head of hair, she would put one dime-sized dab of grease all over our hair. And then, it would be traumatizing to get our hair combed. And then they would rough handle and jerk our head around, or beat us with the comb or brush, yelling, or beat us on the shoulder or the head or the legs or wherever, and yell at us and tell us to keep still. So, but then they used to say that we were tender-headed. And we had that scalp disorder called seborrheic dermatitis. But they said that mine was always worse. It wasn't just my hair and scalp. It was like, it would be on my face and behind my ears and down my neck and everything. The seborrheic dermatitis, what they call seborrhea. So then I told y'all about the foster mom forcing us to go to 7th grade looking like boys, and then we got bullied and harassed and threatened and picked on, and be called boy, or they would laugh and say that we look like a boy in a dress. And so we were in 6th grade, and the seborrheic dermatitis was really bad, and I bet you the psychiatric medications caused it to flare up. And so the dermatologist said to just cut the perm out one time and then let it grow back relaxer free. But the foster mom decided that she thought that it looked cute. And then, she wanted to keep our hair permanently short. And then, I don't know about my twin sister, but I used to try to beg to let my hair grow back. And they used to force me to wear short hair in middle school, and then say that the only way I can be allowed to let it grow long is if I'm willing to agree to get a perm again. And then I struggled so much with the hair thing throughout the years. But I was 4 years old, and I didn't know no better. I mean, I was a kid, and I used to think that the flat top and ponytail or little tail at the back, I used to like that hairstyle and wish I had that hairstyle when I was 4 years old. But I was a little kid, very little kid. I didn't know. So then I don't even remember this, but I heard that somebody said, I think the foster sister Joni said that I cut my hair off on one side, or I shaved my head on one side, and I do not remember doing that at all. I don't. So, when I was in elementary school, I mean, at first, like when I was a kid, I used to wish I was white. I used to want to be white. I talked about this a couple of years ago. I used to wish I was white so that I wouldn't have to be tortured and tormented by the perms and everything. And then, growing up, I would hear stuff about white people and Asian people being smart people or being better than us. But as I got older, then I noticed that some white kids will fail in school, and they might have some exceptional black people who excel. Who do very well in school. So, all this misconceptions that I grew up with about different races of people. And then, I admit that at first I used to want to be white. And then I used to wish I was Hispanic. And then I used to wish I was light-skinned. I admit that I used to be colorist when I was little. My teenage years. And then, I realized that was wrong. And that I was brainwashed. And then when I got a certain age, once I found out about the Illuminati and the New World Order and everything like that, then I realized that no one race is better than the other. But then you hear about eugenics and Planned Parenthood and them pretending to be the fake. I mean, you hear about how they have the New World Order and eugenics to create a master race. A master race of pure Aryan white people blood or whatever. So people that's Muslim and people that's part of the fake Black Hebrew Israelites cult, you know, I don't say this, but they would say like, you know, them blue-eyed white devils. Or a lot of people would tell me, oh, stay away from white people because white people are nasty. But I didn't really hear about people saying stay away from Asians because Asians are nasty. But if they say, oh, well, don't eat at Asian restaurants because they eat cats and dogs. But when I went to the Grand Canyon, I was treated with prejudice by those Navajo Indians. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought that I thought that Native Americans liked us Black people. But nah, by the Grand Canyon, the Native Americans, they are prejudiced against Black people. They don't like us. But I'm mixed with Native American and Black and white. And I don't know what else I might be mixed with. But from what I know, Black, French, and Native American, and supposedly over 60% Native American, they say. Well, why am I calling myself Black and not Indian? So, because of the one-drop rule. So, I mean, we came a long way culturally and racially here in America and everything like that, you know. But yeah, I mean, I heard that a lot of gang stalkers are Uncle Tom's sellouts. And I heard that a lot of gang stalkers, like the gang stalking is compared to Nazism and the Stasi program and Zersaton, like, yeah, I heard that gang stalking is compared to Nazi. And so Black folks who gang stalk their own race of people, they get called coons, sellouts, or you know, Uncle Toms, or Sambo or something like that, you know. But I've had that, like, if somebody, I talk about Masonic sellouts all the time, you know. So I'm like, so you would rather be a Black person advocating and defending and agreeing with mental health system when, you know, if you read up your history, you don't even have to go to the fake Scientology and CCHR. But if you do deep research, the mental health program is Nazi, racist, and has to do with eugenics. If you look up Nuremberg trials and Drapetomania, runaway slave, that they try to and that's why like we targeted individuals have modern day Drapetomania. Because if you break free from the MK Ultra programming and you're non-compliant, they'll call you crazy, force you on psychiatric medications, and they you know, and then, you know, they try to silence you or eliminate you, but they target and gang stalk you. So a lot of the times, if you're a Black person and you're dealing with gang stalking from white people, You don't know if they're treating you mean because they're racist or because they're gang stalkers or a combination of both. But if I ask a question like, why do Asians XYZ? Or why do Hispanics do this? Or why do our own race of people do this? Or why do white people do this? They throw stones at me and call me racist. Like, you can't even mention the word race without being falsely accused of being racist. So, the gang stalking network exploited my blog post for another smear campaign, and spread everything like wildfire to be like, well, see, this is proof that candy is racist, when I clearly said that, I don't have a prejudice towards all Mexicans. It's just the illegal ones legal or illegal if you give me a problem, but no matter what color or race you are. But I'm sitting here thinking, I'll be damned if you're not even American and you're sitting here, you're trying to set me up for destruction in my own country where I was born and raised. You're not even an American. You still have a foreign accent. An accent strong enough that I almost can't understand what you're saying. You have a thick Mexican accent. I'm talking about that bitch from the Social Security office. So, I know that the gang stalking network, they made attempts to try to make that blog post go viral in a bad way. To be like, oh, this is proof that candy's racist. But when I even showed an example of screenshots on Twitter, I put the link in the blog post and showed that I put the link in the blog post that showed that the gang stalkers calling me the N-word. But that's funny that I can't say N-I-M-M-E-R, or else my channel would be or N-I-M-M-A, but my channel would get strike down. But I've seen other black people use the N-word, especially rappers and stuff like that, straight up. They don't even censor it. But, they say it all the time. But nothing happens to their channel on YouTube or TikTok and they say that word. But I said that N-word on TikTok and they struck my channel down. Now, in 2019, I had put I put up a video on my first PsychWorld channel, and that was the first strike after from April all the way till October. That was the first strike that I ever got on my channel. And I didn't say the N-word. I put the lady on film, and she did her own one-person fake street theater show and called me the N-word to my face and acted like a Karen and was blaring super loud music. And she said that her dad was part of the KKK, and she said something about that a black man raped her or something like that. And she just said all kinds of stuff. And she was just acting bizarre and weird. And that was the day I had posted up, look at this lady saying racist stuff to me back in October 2019. And my first PsychWorld channel. And so then after that, um, after that happened, the that was the first time I got like a warning on YouTube. And they took that whole video down. I'm like, damn, I wish I had a way to back that video up or record it. But now that whole entire channel is gone. So then so then it's like, oh man. So then later on that day, Starbricker that was my first time being made aware of her existence. And she made a perp comment and I blocked her. And then after about a week or so later, she sent me a cheesy fake $10. Excuse me. If you give me $2, I'm grateful and thankful for it. But the fact that I knew that you weren't genuine or sincere, that's the reason why I call it cheap fake $10, because I knew it wasn't sincere or genuine. And so I didn't realize that was the same person and me battling my gang stalking, I forgot to unblock her. This shows how petty, and this lady was like 59 years old at that time. 59 or 60 or something. But this shows how petty these people are. So she was about that old. And then I forgot that I had her blocked and I didn't realize that was the same person. And so then she went to falsely reporting all my videos and even succeeded at getting that channel taken down and went harassing me endlessly and still harassing me till this day. The lady is dying of cancer and still harass, and stalk and follow and bully and troll and jealous and obsessed. So that makes me think that first strike on that first PsychWorld channel, it could have been Starbricker that falsely reported that. Because I didn't say anything racial. That lady did. She went on a whole racist rant against black people. So yeah, so now my twin sister, she has said racial stuff against Mexicans herself. Now, when I was by her, when she was taking me to the Greyhound station in 2017, when I got mad and ranted about talking about illegal Mexicans blasting loud music, I didn't even realize they were perps. And I was already agitated with me and her arguing and fussing. We were arguing and fussing. So then she turned around and said, oh, that's so racist or whatever. And then we got into an argument about that, and then everything toned down. And then she said something about that, oh, I hope Trump build that wall. So then when she moved to Texas, I think she mentioned about herself taking the Greyhound bus or being somewhere in Texas. And she would always cry and complain to me about Mexicans being so dirty. I don't remember everything she said, but yeah. So she's spreading the freaking smear campaigns, trying to talk about Candy is racist and this and that, whatever, But yeah, you can, and she would do stuff like if they had a special ed white person she would try to laugh at and make a fool out of them. Like, she would laugh at me for being friends with Dwayne Graber and Paul Mathern and stuff like that. Well, Paul was supposed to be my boyfriend. So, she would laugh at special ed white people. But when I was, how old was I? I was 14 years old in 9th grade. And the foster mom pulled me by my ear and yelled at me. She pulled me by my ear and yelled at me. She yelled at me talking about me talking white. And then I used to get bullied. They used to bully, harass, and laugh at me saying that I talk white. And then when I was also in 9th grade, the teacher, Miss Alexander, tried to ask me, Candy, Candy, why is it that you talk white? Trying to ask me why do I talk white. And so my twin sister, Stank Hoyle Lanika from the Masonic Smelly Crab family, and the ignorant project ghetto fake crusty kids at school used to bully, harass, and laugh at me and say that, they used to mock and impersonate and imitate me, like mock and make fun of me talking white. But nowadays, people would talk about that I sound highly intelligent, or that I talk very articulate and everything like that, So I see with the gang stalking network what they want to do, though. They wouldn't spread. They think that they control my blog. So the blog post, that me being angry at the Social Security worker, the blog post that I did, they wanted to spread that around and just for another smear campaign opportunity. And I said that I made myself clear. I am not prejudiced against Mexicans as a race, because I went to Mexico in 2015 and they loved me and did not want me to leave. So they had a Mexican family whose store I used to visit, in Los Angeles, So they're trying to, that's what they do. They smear campaign the target. Even when you try to clear your name and make stuff clear, they still want to make it like as if their smear campaign is more valid than you telling the truth. God knows my heart. But you hear about all the cartels and the drugs, the fentanyl, and everything like that, and the trafficking. And a lot of these illegals they're causing a lot of us black folks, especially, to come up missing. So they had a black guy on TikTok that did a video. I couldn't save it, but he did a video on TikTok that mentioned about how black people can't get jobs because so many of the illegals have the job opportunities. So yeah, I see with the gang stalking network, I see what they're trying to do. And on my Candy Grand Prix channel on YouTube, this morning I had lost a subscriber. I don't know who that was, but yeah, people try to take you the wrong way. Like in April 2019, I didn't even know, because it's like this young boy, he was like 19, 20 years old, and he ostracized and shunned me and was very mean. I didn't mean any harm, but I asked, because I had a manager when I was working at the zoo in New Orleans the manager at the zoo named Amanda. And so Amanda, she had like all the Asian traits, but except her eyes was the only thing that did not look Asian. So I asked the guy if he was mixed, and no prejudice or any foul thought at all. But he got an attitude and was rude and shooed me off. And then everybody defended and agreed with him. And then on that Lipstick Alley website, I got devoured and bullied, And so I got devoured, attacked, and bullied. It seemed like when a black person thinks that another black person is being racist towards another race, they get down and they attack that person very hard, even if you don't even intend to come off that way. So other black people were saying, you sounded low-key racist, or I'm like, oh, shut up, you young ass kid that think you're smart and know it all. So it's like people are so sensitive about race or whatever because of, but it seems like white people who still are racist, they try to gaslight and try to make like, oh, there she goes, pulling a race card. But they try so hard to try to downplay and lie and make it like as if racism doesn't exist. But then you hear about Karens, and they will straight up call you the N-word to your face. But then you see black people, give the racist white Karens, they would give them a brutal beat down. It might be like a white woman in her 70s, call a 25-year-old black female the N-word, and then get brutally like nearly murdered. Or sometimes they might just, and I've seen moments where if they would have somebody that's Native American, and then if they have a racist white Karen to tell that Native American person, go back to Mexico or whatever where you belong, and then, then a Native American person was, slap the shit out of them or like use that humiliating violence to punish and control you. But they even try to say that, even if the videos where the person is Mexican, they would say that the person got what she deserved for, saying go back to such and such place. So, but they have certain black people who feel like they want to be on a movement to go back to Africa. They themselves wish that they can want to have these organizations or whatever where they want to go. If you were born and raised as an American, but you're black, and then, and then they got some people who say that a lot of people who you think is black is not black but Native American. So and then I didn't realize the Asian guy, I didn't realize he was considered like whitewashed. So I've heard about colorism and racism in Latin America, like the Dominican Republic, in Korea, like a lot of the Asians, like they bleach their skin. And so I heard that self-hatred and Eurocentricity is the reason why you see black people running around here with fake long hair, or or people walk around with, if you're a black person with brown eyes and you walk around with hazel contacts or something like that, they consider that self-hating black. But Then it's the other way around with the white people. If they be trying so hard to wear tan lotion and trying to get a tan and everything, you know. So yeah, I mean, as I said, the gang stalkers, I got proof of them hiding behind their phones, but behind their devices, and saying racist stuff to me. When I was in Greenville, South Carolina, it was not uncommon for me to be walking down the street homeless. And then, you know, and then racist white people would say the N-word. But they have nerve to be the first to sit up in church. They would yell the N-word at the top, from the top of their lungs, and that happened more than once. And then I would deal with, like, in Greenville, South Carolina, and Pensacola, Florida, and Denton, Texas, they had a lot of racist folks. And that was a point in time I started to wonder if Cincinnati had racist people. I mean, people from India, look how they treated me. I can go on and on. But wow, when you actually are a racist plus narcissistic abuser plus a gang stalker all on top of that, that's one of the worst combinations. And so some people feel like racism is a racial narcissism. That racism is racial narcissism, or misogyny, or sexism, or feminism is like sexual narcissism, gender narcissism. But, you know, colorism is, people would consider that color narcissism. Like if they say, talk about colorism, featureism, and texturism, like with the hair texture, people get perms or fake hair, or lighten up their you know, or people might get plastic surgery, and they will have white people who want to have big butts like black people and stuff like that, you know. So, you know, as I said, I'm trying to clear my name against the gang stalkers deliberately and maliciously taking me the wrong way on purpose to get people to hate me even more. So I'm trying to clear my name against them trying to manipulate and twist things to look like, oh, this is proof that Candy's racist. So, but nothing is being done about the racism or the hate towards me. As I said, I get death threats or death references just about every day. They're speeding it up. So that with that fake vigilante hate, I mean, but you can be, gang stalking is a hate crime. Gang stalking is a form of prejudice. So y'all hypocrites.